Look at you, sitting there, eyes full of fire. But life taught you to blink first, didn't it? Welcome to the shadows, Your Highness. The throne ain't golden, it's invisible. But you sit on it anyway. Not because you want to rule, but because you're the only one strong enough to carry the silence that comes with it. Let me guess. You were never invited, were you? Never in the group photos, never in the birthday stories, always the last name they forgot to tag. But somehow, they never stop watching you. Funny how that works. You're the type that walks into a room and doesn't say a word. And somehow, everybody feels you. They laugh louder when you're quiet. They talk faster when you're near. They smile bigger, fake harder, compete silently with a ghost version of you they created in their own heads. You know what that is. That's your aura. Wearing no cologne, no labels, no mask, just raw presence. And they can't handle it. See, you're the one who disappears for weeks. And they still bring your name up in rooms you've never stepped in. You don't post for months, and they're still refreshing your page, wondering what you're plotting. You speak once, and it echoes louder than their 1,000 captions combined. You're not loud because you don't need to be. You're not everywhere because you are the place. They love you, but from a distance. Because if they get too close, they see something they're not ready to admit. You remind them of everything they could have been if they had your pain and didn't fold. You see, people hate mirrors that don't flatter them, and you're the mirror that reflects every lie they tell themselves. You walk like you know too much. You move like someone who's been betrayed enough to stop expecting anything sweet from the world, and still kept your flavor. They think you're cold. You're not. You're just done offering warmth to hands that only reached for you when they needed to feel good about themselves. You're starting to get it now, aren't you? You're the one they copy, but never credit. You're the blueprint they all use. But if you speak up, they act like you're too much. You're the standard, and being the standard means watching them try to be you, while pretending you don't exist. And still, you walk alone, but not because you're weak, not because you're broken, not because you're hard to love. You walk alone because the air gets thin up where you stand. Because you learned that being surrounded doesn't mean you're supported. Because you've been backstabbed so many times, you had to grow wings just to stop dying on the ground. And those wings, they scare people. Because you didn't buy them, you bled for them, you earned them. That's why you get those stares when you pass by. That's why they whisper when you leave. That's why they go quiet when you speak. Because you remind them that silence can be power, that solitude can be status, that the king doesn't need a court. He just needs a crown that fits the pain. Still think you're just antisocial? Still think you're just different? Nah, you're rare, and rare makes people nervous. You're not lonely, you're chosen, and chosen ones don't get crowds. They get history books written in whispers. But you already knew that, didn't you? You already knew it, not because someone told you, but because you felt it. Deep, behind the fake smiles and forced conversations. You walk through life like a haunted melody they can't stop humming. They act like you don't matter, but every move they make is a response to your silence. They invite each other, but they study you. They laugh together, but they obsess over how you don't need anyone to validate your worth. You're not part of the game because you were born outside of it, and that terrifies them. You're what they pretend to be when no one's looking. You're the unfiltered version of everything they post filtered captions about. You don't compete. You don't chase. You don't crave their stage because you are the performance, the backstage, the spotlight, the aftermath. You're the kind of soul that makes noise without a single sound. You shake foundations by just existing. Your presence rearranges dynamics, shifts loyalty, exposes weak links. You walk in, and people start recalculating themselves. Not because you tried to dominate, but because they never learned how to exist in the same room as someone who doesn't need attention to own the air. You don't flinch when you're left out. You expect it. You learned that being misunderstood is the tax you pay for being real in a world that worships fake. And they feel it every time they scroll past your name with that little pause. Every time they laugh at your silence a little too loudly, hoping to quiet their own doubts. Every time they throw shade in your absence, only to feel colder afterward. It's not that they hate you. They just hate how you keep proving that peace can exist without their approval. That power doesn't always wear a crown. Sometimes it walks barefoot, hood up, headphones in, unbothered. That being alone doesn't mean unwanted. It means undefeated. They try to label you, call you distant, cold, weird, arrogant. But deep down, they know you're just free. And freedom feels like a threat when they've chained themselves to trends, opinions, and clout. They don't know what it's like to sleep at night not caring who's watching, to move without announcing, to win without posting, to hurt and heal without ever turning it into a spectacle. You're the scar that never fully faded in all their little egos. You remind them of what they buried. You remind them of the version of themselves they gave up on. You're not popular because you try. You're popular because you exist in a way that refuses to be bent. They'll keep loving you from a distance because up close, your energy dismantles their illusions. Because up close, they'd have to face the fact that you built yourself from rubble, while they still crumble from whispers. You never needed a click to be iconic. You never needed validation to be unforgettable. You never begged to be seen. And yet you're unforgettable to people you barely noticed. You're just the loner, but you're the standard, and still, you keep showing up. Not for them, not for applause, not for attention, but because that fire in your chest refuses to die quietly. They don't get it. How someone like you can walk alone and still walk proud. How you got no cheerleaders, no hype squad, no echo chamber, yet you carry yourself like the universe owes you a microphone. You don't speak often, but when you do, it's like thunder in a room full of whispers, and it rattles them. Because you're not just talking, you're telling truth in a language they pretend not to understand. You've seen too much, felt too much, lost too many, been laughed at, left out, lied to. And still you rise, not like a hero, but like something ancient, something that's been here before and just came back sharper. You learned how to bleed in silence. You mastered how to cry with a straight face. You buried versions of yourself just to protect your peace. And the funeral was always a party for the ones who never deserved you. You noticed that, right? The way people get louder the moment you go quiet. The way they invent stories just to feel closer to your shadow. They can't figure you out because you're not built for understanding. You're built for impact. You don't walk into rooms needing acceptance because your rejection became your rhythm. You move like someone who realized early that being liked is a currency that loses value fast. You watched people sell themselves for claps. You watched the loudest ones become the most forgettable. You watched the ones with all the followers lose themselves for likes from people who wouldn't even defend them in a room full of lies. And somewhere along the line, you decided you'd rather be real and alone than fake and surrounded. You stopped watering dead friendships, stopped chasing shallow validation, stopped entertaining crowds who couldn't even pronounce your worth properly. And when you did that, your energy shifted, that glow they pretend not to see. That's the cost of burning bridges that only ever led to disappointment, that strength they envy. That's what happens when you survive betrayal and keep your soul intact, that aura they talk about. That's what forms when pain turns into presence. You don't wear scars like shame. You wear them like royalty. Each one a reminder that they tried to break you, and all they did was sharpen your throne. You wear that throne like it grew out of your spine, bent but never broken, built from every time you bit your tongue instead of clapping back, forged from nights you couldn't sleep, 'cause your mind wouldn't shut up. But you still got up and faced the world like nothing could touch you. You got used to being the outcast, but not the weak kind. The type of outcast that watches the whole circus burn and doesn't flinch because you knew it was fake from the start. They wanted you confused. They needed you second-guessing yourself, questioning your worth, trying to fit into places that weren't made for you. Because if you ever stopped doubting, if you ever looked in the mirror and saw what you really were, they'd have to accept they were never on your level. That's why your confidence irritates them. That's why your peace looks like arrogance in their eyes. That's why every move you make, even the quiet ones, feel like an earthquake in their glass-built lives. You walk like someone who knows loss but doesn't beg, who knows pain but doesn't parade it, who knows love but refuses to settle for half-hearted hands. You don't just walk alone, you choose to. Because you got tired of people pretending to love the real you, only to try and edit you into something smaller. They say you're intimidating. What they mean is, you make them uncomfortable without saying a word. You're too aware, too raw, too unapologetically honest in a world that thrives on curated lies. You know how to read energy before words even hit the air. You can smell fake 2 smiles away. And you've been hurt enough times to know that trust is expensive. And most people go broke trying to afford your loyalty. Still, you don't close off. You just don't hand out keys anymore. You sit back, you watch, you let people reveal themselves. Not out of paranoia, out of wisdom, out of experience, out of scars that learned how to whisper before wounds even start bleeding. You mastered solitude, and that's what separates you. Because they think silence is empty. You know it's full of clarity, full of growth, full of truths that never needed to be shouted. And while they scroll for dopamine, you sit in the stillness and become something that can't be copied. Because when you've sat with your own darkness long enough, you stop fearing anyone else's. You stop flinching at manipulation because you've already untangled yourself from hands that said, "I care," while tightening the grip. You stopped hoping they'd understand you and started understanding yourself. And that's where the shift happened. That's when your silence stopped meaning pain and started meaning power. They thought the distance meant you gave up. They didn't realize it meant you woke up. You looked around one day and realized you weren't lonely. You were surrounded by noise that never made you feel seen. You realized you could be in a room full of people and still feel like a ghost. So you left. And in that silence, you heard your own voice. For the first time in years. The version of you that doesn't water down thoughts. The version of you that doesn't explain pain in soft language, The version of you that doesn't shrink to make fragile people comfortable. And it changed you. Not overnight, not with fireworks, but with slow-burning truth. The kind that doesn't go away. The kind that teaches you how to walk without waiting for applause. You realized you're not the villain. You're just the one who stopped playing nice when the world kept handing you knives in the shape of compliments. You stopped chasing people who only loved you when you were quiet, small, easy to digest. You started becoming the version of yourself that refuses to apologize for being too much for people who were never enough for you. You stopped explaining. You stopped chasing closure. You stopped begging people to value what they never had the depth to see. And they noticed. They noticed when your name stopped popping up in their notifications. They noticed when your energy pulled back and never returned. They noticed when the one person who always showed up stopped knocking. You didn't announce it. You never do. You just left. That's what a loner king does. He doesn't scream when he's crowned. He sits in silence while the world realizes who they lost and who he became in the absence of noise. You became the echo they can't mute, the presence that haunts their highlight reels, the one they tried to replace with distractions, but nothing hit quite the same. You're not the type they forget. You're the type they remember at 3 a.m. when the world's gone quiet and there's no one left to impress. That's when they feel it, the hole your absence carved into their false sense of comfort. Because deep down, they knew you were real in ways they weren't ready for. You didn't smile to fit in. You didn't lie to keep peace. You didn't shrink yourself for their fragile egos. You looked them in the soul, and that's what scared them. You saw behind the filters, beneath the sarcasm, through the laughs they used to cover the fact that their identity was built entirely on validation. And while they were performing, you were transforming. They were posting for claps. You were bleeding into growth. They were begging to be seen. You were learning to see yourself. That's what makes you dangerous, not your silence, not your solitude, but the fact that you turned your pain into power without asking anyone for permission. You're the one who cracked but didn't crumble, who bent but didn't break, who hit the floor, kissed the dirt, and got up with blood in your teeth and fire in your eyes. You don't walk like you're healed. You walk like healing is your weapon, like you're still hurting. But nothing can stop you anymore because the worst already tried and failed. They thought distance would make them forget you. Instead, it made them realize how loud your silence really is. They scroll past 100 fake smiles a day, but it's your absence that lingers. It's your energy that replays in the back of their mind when they're pretending to be whole. Because you never begged, you never faked, you never stayed where you were shrinking. You walked and kept walking until your peace was louder than their noise. And that aura, that glow, that storm you carry in your eyes, that's not something they can steal. It's not something they can copy. It's not something they can destroy, because it was born in the dark when nobody was clapping and nobody was watching, and you still chose to become more. You chose to become more when the world gave you every excuse to become less. That's what separates you, not the clothes, not the walk, and not the stare. It's the grit behind your quiet, the violence in your survival. The way you wear pain like armor, not to scare people, but because you earned every piece of it. People think being the loner king means you don't feel, that you're numb, that nothing touches you. But what they don't see is that you feel everything, just deeper, sharper, without a mask. You don't laugh unless it's real. You don't cry unless it's earned. You don't connect unless it's soul level. You're not built for surface. You're not wired for small talk, fake hugs, energy that doesn't match intention. That's why they keep their distance. Because you see through the glitter. Because your eyes don't just look, they read. You make people face themselves without saying a word. You walk into their lives like a glitch in their matrix, a reminder that authenticity still exists, and that makes the whole performance feel stupid. You're the one they talk about in rooms you'll never enter, the one they reference without ever tagging, the one they mimic while pretending they're not watching. You don't chase, you attract, and what you attract, you make question itself. Because you're not easy to understand. You're a contradiction, silent but loud, absent but unforgettable, unbothered but deeply aware. They can't place you because you don't sit in boxes. You break them, then build your own space with the scraps. That's what kings do. Not the kings with crowns made of gold and noise, but the ones who rose in silence with hands that stopped bleeding just long enough to carve their own destiny into the stone. Because your destiny was never tied to their approval. It was never tied to the party invites you didn't get, the messages left unread, the circles that called you too intense, the fake support that vanished the moment you started loving yourself out loud. Your path was carved in isolation. Every step you took alone left footprints they're still trying to trace. They keep wondering how you made it without help, how you still walk tall after the betrayals, the backstabs, the quiet nights when you sat with your thoughts and didn't break. What they don't know is you did break more than once, but you broke inward. Not out loud, not for pity, not for likes. You cracked in silence and rebuilt in secret. The kind of rebuilding that doesn't look pretty. The kind with screaming behind smiles, shaking hands, writing manifestos on crumpled paper, mind racing, heart bruised, but spirit still undefeated. That's where the aura comes from. Not from perfection, not from clout, but from the undeniable truth that you've already survived what most people run from. They can't copy that. They can't fake that. They can wear your aesthetic, repeat your quotes, even try to move like you, but it'll never hit the same. Because you weren't born for aesthetics. You were born to disturb patterns, to walk into environments and expose the weak foundations, to make people uncomfortable just by being everything they're afraid to admit they want to be. You are disruption wrapped in stillness. You are revolution without a microphone. You are the warning sign they ignored until everything they built started to fall apart next to your calm, collected fire. They wanted you to play small, to apologize for your depth, to mute your instincts and laugh at jokes that weren't funny just to feel included. But you chose silence over begging, truth over performance, solitude over fake love. And that decision, that single decision, shifted your timeline. It made you untouchable in a world that runs on insecurity. You became untouchable not because you're unreachable, but because you stopped letting people touch you with dirty hands. You stopped giving access to energies that only knew how to take. You stopped explaining your worth to ears that only listened to reply, never to understand. You didn't just change. You ascended. Quietly, deliberately, without throwing shade, without clapping back, without proving anything. Because you realized something most people spend a lifetime avoiding. You don't owe your light to the ones who never stayed through your darkness. You stopped showing up for people who never noticed when you were missing. Stopped defending your heart to people who only wanted to borrow it. Stopped trying to fix what was designed to keep you broken. You learned how to sit in the fire without begging for rain. You learned how to rebuild from ash without needing applause for the architecture. And every time you chose yourself, every time you walked away from what felt familiar but cost your peace, every time you stayed silent when they expected you to break, you became something more terrifying than rage. You became calm, still, focused, dangerously unshakable. They don't know what to do with that, because the old version of you, they knew how to handle that one. The one that over-explained, the one that doubted, the one that reached out even when you were the one bleeding. But this version, this ascended version, the one who doesn't blink when they go quiet, the one who walks into silence like it's a home, not a punishment, the one who can stand in a room full of noise and still be the loudest presence in the building, that version scares them.